just to say hi. We haven't really chat that much. It's been a busy election season, so hopefully Bob Cox shows up. That'll be cool. But this will get a lot less views than the other lives I've been getting, obviously. But I figured I haven't chatted with you guys for a little bit, so I'll wait for people to get in. If anybody doesn't, pardon me, if anybody doesn't want to get in, maybe nobody will. Who knows? It's been a few days since I've gone live. Hey, I was just talking about you, Bob Cox. How you doing? I figured at least you'll probably show up. I'm doing well. Scientology Ottawa, another loyal fan. How you doing? I'm doing well. Burner account. Also thinking of you. Nice to have you. So you got some people here. We're kind of in the hood of St. Louis. Not really the hood, but a little bit. Nice to at least have the usual cadre. How's everybody else? Not really much of a point to this live. Hey, Kelsey. Nice to have you. Yeah, getting the band back together. Nice to have everybody. But I figured it'd be nice to do a little live where it's just the usual suspects talking because the last lives were so busy. And I'll give my election analysis and all that if you guys are interested in that. I gained a fair amount of subscribers at that, but also lost a fair amount on both sides of people furious at me that I voted third party. Just chilling live. Exactly. It's just chilling live. Cali Boy, nice to have you. Hey, Cali Boy, what's up with ZDT? Did ZDT die? Is he still on YouTube? Like, what's his... I've heard nothing about him. Yeah, guys, if anybody wants to fill me in on ZDT, I guess we could start there. Cali Boy reminded me because he's a big fan. But your idol is gone, man. Tragic. Because I thought he might get arrested. I would have flown back if he actually got arrested and then had the balls to plead not guilty. He hasn't done his apology yet. No. But is he even on YouTube, or do they ban him or something? I can't. I'm not really in the loop. IDK, what's up with him? I stopped watching him when he was too pussy to show up for court. Hey, ain't that the truth? You got to put your money where your mouth is. I mean, I guess you lose followers if you're all talking. Maybe you run out of steam. You don't have anything else to talk about. Because he exercised every potential psych out that he could have. You know, he says, oh, there's going to be this big court case. Oh, the RO meant nothing. The RO approval meant nothing. Being served meant nothing. There's going to be this big court case. Everybody's going to testify. I'm going to put Dodge on the stand and William Good on the stand and Minty's fucking printer on the stand. And it's going to be this huge circus spectacle. And then he didn't even have the balls to show up. And then last minute, once he realized that I was calling his bluff, I think he got a lawyer. And he failed epically. And then there was another motion that got automatically denied. He's still on YouTube doing... Is he still on YouTube? He hasn't popped up in my feed. I mean, I don't think I'm subscribed to him, but... it's been a while since I could catch live. Here, like Cody, you're just a man I'm thinking about, or I want to ask. What is ZDT doing now? What is he up to? I have no idea. Few rallies in NYC. Yeah, few rallies. Yeah, I had to go to a few rallies. I was all over. I missed the Madison Square Garden one, but I did. I saw a lot of tears at Kamala's concession speech in D.C., so I made it to that, and I made it to a Trump rally and a Harris rally in Milwaukee on the same day. I told you it would be a landslide. You're right. It was a bloodbath, man. It was not even... I mean, it's one of the worst... I think she's going to lose every single swing state. Uniquely bad candidate. It's one of the worst performances of a Democrat in the latter half of the 21st century. Probably, yeah. The worst, Romney did better than her. Mitt Romney did as well, about as well as John McCain did in 2008. Because I was thinking like Romney, thank you, here, like Cody, I appreciate that. I thought it would be fun to show up and cover things. But yeah, man, it was a bloodbath of epic purport. I thought Harris was going to pull it out. I got some serious crow to eat. I thought at the end Trump was messing it up so much that people would remember it. And despite Harris's horrible candidacy, people think this guy sounds insane. I forgot how insane he sounds. Thank you for reminding me. I'll vote again. No, that didn't happen. I don't think a felon should be able to run the country. Yeah, you think that would make a difference. You think it would, but it has not. You know, I think Harris was a lot more Bernie-like, harder left, if Harris left Liz Cheney at the door. And if she was just a little more ballsy. The moment she lost the election is quite obvious in The View. How are you that stupid? On The View, they're like, well, do you do anything different than Biden? Dude, just lie. Just say, yes, he sucked in the border. I tried for this bill. I tried for that bill. They wouldn't listen to me. I felt like I was sequestered as a vice president. Democrats are so afraid of pissing off power that actually isn't real power. She is so afraid of pissing off that power, she couldn't even do that. She couldn't even say, yeah, I had these internal disagreements. They didn't listen to me. He messed up on this. That's it. Say that about one or two things. That's it. And then the worst is, I don't know if you guys see him on MSNBC, but it's this ad nauseum of these stupid-ass neocon George W. Bush Republicans. That's all MSNBC is now. Because real progressives don't like them or give a shit about them. So they have all these people who worked for George W. Bush cheerleading for Kamala. Yay, more wars, neocons, yay. And that shit lost the election. Hey, Dodgy, so close to me, you've been an hour away, Misfit. Cool, where are you? What neck of the woods? Maybe I'll drop by. Shoot me an email, dodge.landsome@gmail.com. Comment, one day I would like to see a woman president. One day, I think a woman could, I don't buy the sexism stuff either. I think a woman could have actually won. Just had to get the right woman. You had to get somebody nice and thick, Gretchen Whitmer. Like, at least everybody would be like, damn, she's thick. True, Dodge, I think you're right about that. Good analysis. Thank you, Here Light Cody. However, the organizing on the ground is non-existent compared to the Obama era. Yeah, well, I'll do a longer post-mortem on that. But I do wonder how good their ground game was, and if ground game even matters anymore. Because I was an organizer for Hillary. I quit. It was horrible. But I was an organizer for Hillary in 2016. I ended up voting Gary Johnson. But I remember I was deep in Philadelphia. I remember that we didn't see a single Trump organizer. Like, we did door-to-doors. It's almost like you're a Mormon missionary. You're essentially stationed outdoors for 12 hours a day. That's why Kamala was real shitty not speaking the moment she lost. Because, boy, I never felt it deeply in my heart, but some of these people do. And they, just as people view Trump as an idol, a Christ-like idol, which is dumb, people view Kamala that way, too. And people would sacrifice, I remember I got paid $300 a week. And I'd work 12-hour days, 7 days a week for about a month. And so those people worked those hours, and they worked those hours for Kamala. And you think she'd go on stage that night and be like, listen, it's not looking good. But I just wanted to thank you guys. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. You have sacrificed your entire month, 2 months, 3 months for me. You've sacrificed your entire weeks, your entire days. And I just want to thank you and show my appreciation for how much effort, how much love you put in. It shows that she's a pretty shitty person for not doing that. So in 2024, yeah, he won, man. Congratulations. Love to meet you and have lunch. Well, send me an email, dodge.landisman@gmail.com, Misfit. Comment, Dodge, next time you come to Illinois. Oh, thank you. You're invited to dinner with me and my husband. I'd love that. Sorry I missed you last time. A little out of the way. Mount Vernon, Illinois. Okay, let me screenshot that. I'm heading east, sadly. But then I'll head back west. Do you think they had jammers at Howard? Or do you think it's just a number of people using the towers? Yeah, the reception was really bad, wasn't it? Uniquely bad. Look at this, like, hood-catered Chinese. I'm definitely probably going to eat here. This is like the hood-outfitted Chinese fried rice. This is pretty cool. Oh, cool. There's a little street sign. A little street mural. Which is kind of badass. I could probably show you my Airbnb. Yep, BRB, yeah. Yeah, lunch should be fun. Shut up, you liberal. I'm not even liberal, man. I'm libertarian. People got mad at me because I voted third party for Chase Oliver instead of the major candidates. You can call me a classical, antique liberal, an antiquated liberal, but not the modern one. I was not impressed by Harris either, but I'm also not impressed by Trump. So that's kind of my view. But yeah, man, it was Trump did better with almost every single demographic. They're expecting women to break Trump's way in a big way. Men broke Trump's way in a bigger way. You need to stop catering to specific races. I think it's almost racist in that, and ironically, it's almost racist to just think, oh, they're all black, they'll all vote a certain way. I think what we see now, this bright spot of the country, is people are acting a lot less differently based solely on race. So I do think what this shows, there's a lot more sexism than we thought, perhaps, in a lot of different ways in the language that was endorsed. So there's a lot less racism. And I think that perhaps that's a step in the right direction. You know, you can't really tell how people vote just because they're Hispanic and now increasingly black. So that was an interesting notation I found. Just looking at I'm impressed by Trump. That's what makes America great. You can say pick whoever you want. Of course, that is your right. Pick whoever you would like anytime. And he ran a much better campaign. And I was there, man. I was, I could see it crumbling because of the lack of enthusiasm. Because I went to, if you saw any of my lives, I went to a rally for Trump, which is this massive stadium rally in downtown Milwaukee. Then in the same city, I went to a Harris rally, and it was at the state fairgrounds, which is already a bad sign. It's like state fair. And she was in this little performance space that was maybe 60% filled. Must have been a couple hundred people. A couple hundred versus probably 10 to 15,000 for Trump. And it was pretty pathetic. It was like if REO Speedwagon was doing a performance, or they had like Meatloaf, or Blues Traveler was in town. It wouldn't even be a top. That's the irony. It was so bad, even with Cardi B. I mean, maybe don't have somebody who used to drug men and rape them, technically, and steal their money. Maybe don't have her speak for you, because they had Cardi B. Show us some racism and sexism. I'm saying it's less racist. I'm saying the Democrats are being more racist about it by playing to identity politics and assuming, oh, if you're black, you have to vote a certain way. In terms of the sexism, I mean, I think that's, go to a rally and I see it constantly. I think a good example of sexism is when Trump laughed when Trump said, what has Kamala ever done? She's never had a real job. And then somebody said, Kamala works a corner. And then Trump looked and laughed and said, I love this place. I mean, to me, that's endorsing something that's pretty, I mean, I just wouldn't, and you know me, my stream is gross. Like, I'm not appropriate. But I even wouldn't say that, particularly if I were running for president in a rally, particularly if I was closing home and I want to say, maybe I want to project a more positive message. So I'd say that's a tangible example, a very quick one off the top of my head of sexism. But racist, yeah, exactly. So, right, that's a great example. Chato FX, Joe and the Ho have got to go. I don't know if you're endorsing that or giving that as an example. But yeah, I mean, you see the t-shirts at the Harris rallies, or I went to the Nikki Haley and the Ron DeSantis rallies in New Hampshire as well. And they had their own t-shirts, but only Trump, out of all of them, had things like don't vote Joe and the Ho, or Hillary sucks, but not like Kamala. And it's just like, it's kind of, I don't know, man, I just think it's kind of gross. I mean, some people think that's funny. And the endorsement of this juvenile high school-like humor, which is, I mean, now we can use whatever word we want, but retarded. Like, you all sound fucking retarded, guys, saying that, finding that shit funny. You're retarded. It's nice. At least now I can say whatever word I want now, right? So that's cool. But I think that shit's gross and pretty retarded if you think that's funny. I didn't vote, I voted for Chase Oliver. Else, although I'd probably more disappointed with Trump. Although Kamala's a uniquely terrible candidate. I voted for Trump. I'm happy. Congratulations. Glad he did. Yeah, I was part of the 0.4% that went for Chase Oliver, which I got some Kamala supporters yelling at me, saying, how dare I? Somebody says, I'm unsubscribing. How dare you go third party? And then somebody says, how dare you say something nice about Kamala? I'm unsubscribing. So it goes both ways. Yeesh. 16 years of war and you're offended. Well, that's the interest. See, that's where I think a lot of this stuff gets butchered. I agree on the Ukraine, 1,000%. And I think in the Ukraine, Trump genuinely wants to stop unnecessary foreign funding and put that money back at home for manufacturing. Who got us out of Afghanistan, though? You could squawk all you want that the withdrawal was a botch, but Trump never pulled us out of Afghanistan. Who elicited the same amount of drone strikes that Obama did? Oh, that's Trump. Whoops. So he's so anti-war, though, isn't he? I mean, more drone strikes, that equals peace to me. Drone strikes equal peace. So I think this mythological, that's why Trump was so good. He controlled the messaging, and Kamala should have been like, you know what? Fuck, Trump is a war hawk. Drone strikes increased. He didn't have the balls to pull us out of Afghanistan. As botched as it was, somebody has to rip off the Band-Aid. No, but let's just campaign with Liz Cheney, with Iraq supporting with Liz Cheney. And let's continue this puking of money for the Ukraine. But I do not say Trump has geniusly presented himself as a peace candidate when there's been still a steady increase in foreign civilian deaths under his administration. That's why I can't buy it. All of you, both parties, are just obsessed with mass murder. Sorry. Drug deal? A little bit of both. Some drugs, some dog walking. Why not both? I'm looking for some Fetty. Thoughts on who would need to happen to make what would need to, that's not Dem or Rep. Oh, it's close to impossible. You have to put your own money. Although there's something saying that because the voter turnout was actually really bad in this election. So the vast majority, everybody's very happy Trump won, and there are people who like Trump, and they should be. But Trump won with a defeated electorate, meaning there were less people, I think about 1 or 2% less people that voted in 2024 than voted in 2020. Now think in 2020, there was a pandemic going on, so people were more reticent to go out. And even the mail-in stuff, that was a new process at the time, and that's a process unto itself. So despite all these barriers for actually physically showing up in the middle of a pandemic, somehow there are more people voting then. And every 4 years, the population grows, maybe by 1% or 2%. So the population is bigger, yet less people turned out. And I cannot tell you, at all the rallies, of course, everybody I met were partisan. But whenever I was at a restaurant and somebody says, what were you up to today? And I said I was at a rally. You know what I heard most times? More so than I like Kamala, which you barely heard, or I like Trump, was, you know what? I'm not voting. I hate both of these people. I think both of these people don't have our country's best interests at heart. I think both of these people are liars. And why even buy into anything in the system? Because it's either a sexist cult or an overly woke cult who wants to police everything I say. And we're not actually looking at any issues that are actually important. I agree to most of those people. Those people don't vote. And there are more of those people than there ever were. So I think if that keeps happening, voter turnout keeps going down. You could have a well-funded, the person has to be very anti-corporation. They can be rich themselves, and maybe they can say, perhaps I paid my employees a better amount, sacrificed some of my salary, I believe in some regulation, universal basic income. Whoever talks about directly helping people out. The numbers, that's a fair argument too. The numbers in 2020 don't match up with all other elections. And I will say this, I think everybody's complimenting Kamala on not challenging the election. That's because she lost in a blowout. Trump only lost by 1%. There's an argument to have courts hear cases about recounting votes if you only lose by 0.5 to 1%. Kamala keeps losing these states by 2 to 3.5%. It's such a wide spread that any court cases or allegations of fraud wouldn't make any difference. In the last election, it would. So I think if Kamala lost these states by 1%, I guarantee you she'd be saying stolen election. Guarantee you. Fair. I prefer an honest asshole than a nice liar. Well, you're with a nice liar right now. Exactly. So organizing is still important. Dems didn't think they need to do it. Too cocky. Yeah, that's true. They got comfortable. Well, I guess I got 72 people watching this analysis, so I guess people are enjoying it. Guys, please do subscribe if you're new to this and you're hearing, I guess, some random election analysis from somebody who covered the primaries in person and went to various rallies and then cover the general election, and I went to a bunch of Kamala Harris rallies and a bunch of Trump rallies. So at least you'll have an objective source if you're talking about me. Emma Infidel says, what if it's all fake, bro? Have you considered that a global Illuminati? Yes. Well, that's why, guys, you're so, like, that's what I don't get. Like, yes, there's a deep state, and Trump is part of it. Like, Trump, like, the Jeffrey Epstein tapes, you could say Epstein was talking out of his ass, but it's not good. The fact that Epstein detailed a strong friendship and relationship with Trump just goes to show, yeah, there's on both sides, there is a deeper force that controls a lot of shit. And it's like, guys, just Google the Franklin scandal. There's a politician in the 80s in Nebraska, well-known Larry King, oddly enough, was his name. But Google Larry King, Nebraska scandal. And it's all is rooted from that era that has metastasized, I think. That's why I don't vote for any of the major parties, because I think they're deeply in bed with people who do control, try to do mind control on people. And there probably is some trafficking that they're eager to not have exposed. Who knows how strong it is or how prevalent it is? That's a different conversation. But I think there certainly is cover-up of child trafficking. And I think Trump would endorse that, and Kamala would endorse that, frankly. So yeah, I agree with you, dude. I'm a little bit of a conspiracist myself. That's why I don't get it. If you're a conspiracist, I don't see how you could buy into any cult. I think one guy being the figurehead and being this Christ-like figure is incredibly dangerous. And I think anybody voting on somebody's personality versus tangible issues, you give them way too much power. And Trump is going to continue this shit. But so would have Kamala. Hit the like, please do. Oh, please do subscribe. The Antichrist, says Toddy Cram, marked the beasting equipment on the back of his right waist. So he tries to market the beast to your right wrist. Shakes your hand pretending to be cops. Cops definitely make me wary. I think I understood half of that. Let's vote for Kamala Harris. I think she's going to be a good president. Hope she wins. Congratulations. Too little, too late. 18 million missing votes. People make that argument. Democrats are dictator nows and war fans. They certainly are, and that's how Kamala lost. They campaigned as war fans. They could have been like, listen, Trump has created more drone strikes. He never pulled us out of Afghanistan. And what we're going to do is we're going to stop funding for the Ukraine. And remember, Biden pulled us out of Afghanistan. Instead, why don't we have Kate Walsh, who is George W. Bush's press secretary, be one of the main anchors in MSNBC. Tim Miller, who works for Romney, who's one of the main commentators in MSNBC. And why don't we have all these assholes who got kicked out of the GOP, because really nobody wants them, why don't we all have them be the figurehead of the opposition to Trump, instead of people like Bernie, perhaps, where they talk about a higher wage, they talk about actually axing funding for most foreign entanglements abroad to use at home, and to stop drone strikes and stop genocide. Instead, it's less endorsed. Kamala Harris implicitly endorsed the Iraq War, and supporting more wars of that ilk. I mean, ironically, Kamala campaigned as somebody who was more of a war hawk by a mile than Biden. Biden ripped off the Band-Aid and pulled us out of Afghanistan. By all indications with Harris, it indicated that she would be far more aggressive. Like, she probably wouldn't have pulled out of Afghanistan. That's the scary part. So she's much worse. I think in a lot of ways, Harris would have been, I didn't even like Biden either, but Harris would have been much worse than Biden. Biden had some balls. Afghanistan, marijuana, at least he rescheduled that. Harris wouldn't have done any of it. Sold to the highest bidder, she was. So don't mistake me for a far left Democrat. Trump is your dad. He'll never be my daddy. Never. He'll get a golden shower straight in his mouth from my body before he becomes my daddy. God damn it. Trump ain't never gonna be my daddy. Trump just wants to bang his kids, so then I really don't want Trump to be, because then I have to bang him, because that's what he wants to do. He wants to bang his daughter. He said that almost as much as that 3 times. So that means what? Do I have to spread my butt cheeks if Trump is my daddy? Not going to happen. Kamala intentionally blocked evidence that could have freed a man. Be more specific, Callie boy. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, I mean, I know a little bit about what you're talking about. She had a nasty record as a prosecutor who was very punitive in locking people up for marijuana possession. Middle of the road, you get run over. You say that now, but we will be vindicated. Oh, for her, yeah, I'm more middle of the road as an anti-corporation, anti-war, anti-deep state. She was more middle of the road as in stood for nothing, pro-neocon, pro-foreign entanglement. Are you okay? Did you take your meds today? I'm just riffing, man. Trump take his meds? Probably never. Kamala is just a puppet. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, Chado. But Trump sucks too. The 13 families run the world and have Putin because they couldn't control them. But that's the thing, guys. You're like complaining about a deep state on the right, and then you're like, they're mean to Putin. Like, do you understand how stupid you sound? I know Putin is so noble. When they're really mean to Putin, guys. Like, that's some fucking neocon shit too, idiots. That's why it's like, you think Trump is so much better? He's just going to be sucking Putin's dick the entire time. He has a hard-on for that guy. I think he's literally sexually attracted to Putin. Like, you want to talk about, like, gross sex shit because all the Trump people do? Like, there's going to be a threesome. Kim Jong-un won't be able to move, so Trump will be going down on him, and then Putin will be penetrating from the back. Guaranteed. Like, that's the thing, guys. You like... If you think the deep state is not pro-Trump, like anybody protecting Putin is fucking insane. Do you want your press controlled? Do you think you should die for? Well, some people do think you should die for being gay. I don't think you should. Putin does. Do you think if you type something on Facebook saying I disagree with this leader, you should be prosecuted? Because Putin does. Do you think we should be more like that? Do you think we should be more like Russia? Great. Just think about what you're saying, because you sound stupid. Yeah, I know, Trump. I don't think people love Putin. We just know Putin has an evil agenda, too. I mean, just his defense is bizarre. I understand pulling out money from the Ukraine, and what will happen will happen. But at the same time, it doesn't mean he needs to root for Russia, or say he's been victimized. But fair point. Melania is Russia royalty. Oh, that's interesting. Sexually attracted to Putin, you sound crazy. I'm more sexually attracted to Kamala, honestly. Is there going to be a World War II? No, and I think people are hyperbolic. There's no World War under Trump, and there will be no World War. You know, America is largely a self-sustaining country. We certainly have our problems, but the economy has been, despite inflation, the general economy has been improving really since Obama, consistently under Trump and still consistently under Biden, and probably will be under Trump again. So, I don't think the world's going to go to the shitter. I think a lot of problems are real. Some are overblown by the media. But I feel safe in this country in whatever administration. Well, I'm a white dude, I'm a straight white dude. But I don't think, Trump is going to punish gays for being gay. I don't think Trump is going to round up trans people or anything like that. The deportation thing is interesting. There might be a headache. There's a lot of bark and a lot less bite, is my guess. Because Trump's deportation numbers were higher than Obama's, but not significantly. They were probably 10 to 15% higher. So it wasn't like there was this radical thing where ICE was, scanning people constantly to throw out the Hispanic gentleman who's been living here for 40 years. I think that was a bit of an overblown narrative. Again, Trump was actually, in terms of immigration, quite similar to Obama. And I thought Obama was too restrictive, personally. I'm libertarian on the border. But, I don't think all of a sudden HBCUs are going to lose all of their funding. There will be no source for black kids to get an education. And with the big one, I think abortion's important. I think that's why one of the big reasons I'm not big on Trump. But I think once Trump felt like he fulfilled his obligation to the Supreme Court, I don't think he's going to actually nationally ban abortion. The difference is Trump's going to let the very conservative governors run roughshod. right? So it'll be weird. I mean, it's entirely possible that in like the state of Utah, with the Trump administration allowing them to, they could actually ban porn. Now, will you get arrested for porn? No, but you probably can't access it. And so the bigger difference is there's going to be a mass division of states. The states will be dramatically more different than they've ever been before. Because there'll be people like Greg Abbott who are just very right-wing, which is, I think, a lot of Trump voters don't actually like. But I don't think there's going to be a national abortion ban. I still think in a myriad of states you're going to get your abortion. And ironically, as someone more left, I think I've always, even though people say states' rights is a dirty word, I think today's day and age, states' rights is everything, personally. He's a demo-liberal Republican, yeah. Obama was a great president. He was all right. Trolls are wild today. I think we're having interesting conversations. You look at the numbers that have come over 10 million. Yes, somebody's going to be deported. It's been a spike. Biden has addressed a lot of that spike, and they've had some of the lowest entry numbers, at least in the past 6 months. Granted, it's been incredibly high after that. But I don't, people being left in this country is, what's being in a holding cell, how long is it going to take to deport? And at some point, there's going to be a need for labor. Oh, shit, it's really raining. There's going to be a need for labor. Detective Little, thank you for the super chat. That's very sweet. I appreciate it. He'll go after criminals first. Yeah, I think Trump is going to deport I don't think Trump wants to get rid of talented people here. Really, most law-abiding people here. Probably the worst case scenario, you deport them and then create a process to get back. Because right now there isn't much of a process, but mark my words, there's going to be a labor shortage and Trump is going to create a streamlined process. So you might deport the worst of them, and you might deport 10 million people. And, in that 10 million people, 500,000 might really be criminals, might really have some issues. And perhaps 2 months later, when you need the labor, you let a lot of those people back. You have their paperwork, they've already entered, now they're gone. Perhaps they're close, perhaps they didn't go back to El Salvador, but perhaps they're just hanging out in Juarez, on Nuevo Laredo. And then they're allowed, maybe you streamline them back in. We always think that the radical forces win, but that always competes with reality. Hey, make some room. May you rest in peace. Come. Jeez, guys, it's really raining now. I can't even look at comments. There's this dog. This dog has beef. Sorry, guys, I gotta wipe the rain off my phone. Okay, here we go. Oh, whoops, I flipped it. I don't mean to do this, sorry. I'm losing everybody. Hold on. There we go. Hold on. Wait, I can't flip. There we go. Now he needs to do his trick. I hate this when it rains. Now I have to step in the water.
Everything, but it matters that we come together. You don't have to bring this old self. You can just bring yourself as you are. A couple of things to happen. We have a sign-in sheet.
Hear this?
Raise your hand. Each has a sign-in sheet with a QR code. If you have a chance to chat and just scan it.
They're lamenting over the election too. All right, now he's chasing you again. See, it's like they're not going to take your dog. Hey, Danny. I'm trying to catch up with the chat. I'm already packing up just in case. You'll be fine, Danny. He's not going to deport you. Don't worry. Dustin, great to see you both in your walk. Thank you. It's pouring out right now, sadly. Welcome to St. Louis. Good to be here. Are you in St. Louis? Cool. Maybe we'll get a bite or something. So, yeah, I think the reality, it always butts up against reality, and Trump couldn't do that much damage, nor did he try to do that much damage. Because eventually we're going to get, like Canada's already doing this. Canada is actively, like if you go to Mexico and you go to border cities, there are tons of signs in Mexico in Spanish, saying work for Canada, come to Canada, you get your visa, you get your Canadian wage. It's automatic. And the reason is because they have more restrictive immigration. Hey, hey. Hey, chill. Thank you. Good boy. The reason is like Canada, there's an answer to the immigration problem. It's not the one you want to hear. But you think about it, how come all people from Mexico or Central America, they could easily get a tourist visa, unlike in the US, to get to Canada? How come they just don't do that? How can they pay thousands of dollars to the cartel to get smuggled into the US? And the answer is because in Canada, you're not allowed to hire anybody. They actually penalize corporations for hiring people. And so Canada has a very different look of immigrants. They still have quite a few immigrants. They're only 4%, 5% less diverse than us. So people think Canada's all white, and it's really not. But they have a lot of South Asian immigrants, a lot of immigrants from Asia as well. And now they're running into labor problems. And so right now, Canada is like 2% Hispanic. It's tiny, but expect it to be as much as 10% Hispanic within the next 10 years. And that's because they're actively importing immigrants from there. And I do think in terms of this mass cluster in the next half decade, we're going to see so much more people from Central America going up north that there'll be less of an immigration problem. It'll almost work itself out. Canada's run by communists. Well, I just explained how they're more restricted than the US, but I don't like Trudeau. I agree with that. I think Pierre's going to win. Pierre's very level-headed, unlike Trump. He's kind of Trump without the craziness. And Trudeau has been incredibly incompetent. And Trudeau has been very anti-civil liberties. With the whole convoy and gouging people's bank accounts is disgusting. I think you have a right to protest your vaccines, and you have a right to get community support because of that. So yeah, Trudeau, I hope they throw Trudeau out in the. Liberals I think are dead at this point. It's almost now NDP versus Conservatives. Not to get too much into Canadian politics, but yeah, I agree. Trudeau sucks. Will there be a regime change in Iran? I don't think so. Do you think Trump pardons Diddy? Well, he wished Ghislaine Maxwell well. It's entirely possible. I will be going to the Diddy trial, so I will be covering that. Jesus, it's really raining now. Musk is who I'm worried about, the need for $10 trillion for a space program. Yeah, Musk is a weird cat, ain't he? But even if, I don't think he's that horrible. His wife even dumped him. Well, that's true. Mexicans get visas to like 50 more countries, many in Europe. They don't seem to have necessity to move. Many Central Americans. Yeah, but I think Central Americans get visas as well, tourist visas for that. But you're right. I mean, it's not actually immigrants from Mexico, which is ironic. People think it is, but it's not really. Look at some of the chat now that it's rained a little less. But it's really pouring. Wrong. Right. Is it ZDT Chad? I don't know what that refers to. Do you think Trump makes it out alive in the next 4 years? Yeah, I think he does. If he made it this far, I think he wasn't assassinated last time. Well, you never know. It depends on how divisive it is. Is there going to be a violent left movement? People say there already is with Antifa. I don't know how real that is. But will it become more violent? That's the thing. If Trump really gets controlled by the hard right wing, and I don't think it's within Trump's heart to do any of this, but if Trump really gets controlled by the hard right wing and issues a national abortion ban, my prediction is there might be some violence. And because the Democrats could say, well, you guys started it, so fuck you. We could do it too. And they kind of have a reason to do that. If there is, I'll be covering it. But that's my theory. There's an actual abortion ban. The problem is there's an abortion ban that's going to get worse and worse and worse. Because not only will it be a national abortion ban, but it will be, they won't let, if you try to go to Mexico or Canada to get an abortion, because Mexico's now legalized it in certain states, If you go to Mexico, Canada, abortion, you get put in jail. If you're a doctor, you get put in jail. Oh, here's somebody who's going to have a baby with, an arm growing out of its eye, and now that baby has to come to term, and oh, whoops, that baby dies, and the woman dies. It's like, well, sorry, we just can't ever touch it, And so if it's shit like that happens, which I don't think it will, I don't think Trump is actually going to advocate for a nationwide abortion ban, because I don't think he support, well, I'm sure he's approved abortions himself, but there might be violence. And that would be, it's just, or porn, if they ban porn, because they want that in the 2025 thing. I don't think a lot of it will be implemented, but if they ban porn, then there's going to be I'm going to be part of that violent revolution. I mean, if they say I can't look at porn, I'm starting some violence. And that's a thing, the fact that that's a thing. And the other, that's the other thing too. Will they try to ban condoms and birth control? It's not just enough with abortion. Are you no longer able to take the pill? Is there no certain, maybe they'll make you stay in, you can't pull out. That's going to be the new JD Vance. It's going to be the new JD Vance tagline when he runs in 2028. It'll be hashtag keep it in. Instead of pull out, you have to legally leave it in. So if shit like that happens, there will be violence. I think Obama was the start of the end. That's an interesting theory. They are consoling the population. Trump didn't write 2025, for fuck's sake, you moron. I know he didn't write it, and I said I don't think he will implement it. This is a worst case scenario if the Democrats are ever prone to violence. No, Trump did not write 2025, although he certainly is taking seriously the people who did write that. JD Vance, the choice of Vance is an endorsement of that. I think he's just showing him face, so I don't think he's actually going to implement it. Banning porn is good for the economy. Men will be more driven. Fair, but not every man. Yeah, but then you get stuck working at McDonald's, and you're like, well, I can't jack off, and I still have a shitty job. May as well kill myself. Think Iran had anything to do with the Trump assassination plot? Hard to say, Whole relationship with Iran is a weird one, isn't it? Hey, stop. Thank you. Okay, you can go. You can chase him now. You can chase him. Have a blessed day. Thank you, Clea. You as well. Blessed are the ones. I think Jesus said that. Dodge gonna riot. I am gonna riot. If they ban my porn, I will riot. Fuck yeah, I will. And they deport so many people, like I can't go to tiendas and get those like cheap cuts of like Latin meats. I still might deport. Well, if they like deport like most Mexican women, Central American women, then I can't get laid. So I'll riot for that too. America needs immediate cultural intervention. Yeah, we're kind of heading down the twos, but some of it is an overcorrection, in my opinion. Trump hired the guy. Exactly, Trump hired Stephen Miller, like, scares the shit out of me, man. That guy's like an evil psycho. Like, if you think Stephen Miller's fine, and you really like him, like, think about who you are as a person. Because that guy is like, he looks like a diabolical penis head. It's bad. So I have my reservations. But, it was a blowout. It wasn't close. The thing that was surprising to me is I figured, despite Kamala's horrible messaging, a lot of the economic stuff that people agreed with would shine through. And people wouldn't care about the trans in sports because it doesn't actually affect that many people. I mean, if anything, think of it, like, nobody ever gave a fuck about Riley Gaines before a man started playing in the sport. I'm sorry. But hey, if you want to get people to actually watch women's sports and go to women's sports, you got to get a man in there. Think about it. Their attendance has gone up. This man shit in women's sports has been the best thing for women's sports to ever happen. Because now their attendance are up. There's celebrities that are being created. People are going to their games. I mean, come on, it took a man. Just kidding, guys. But what do you think of the Dems wanting newborn trans? I never heard that. See, that's completely new to me. I've never heard anybody talk about a newborn trans. But maybe. Women need to support women's sports. Yeah, but I just think, but it's curious because the relevancy is like, who does it really affect? Like, I don't ever, who fucking watches women's sports? I guess it's important if you're in high school. I was never a sports guy, so I never gave a shit about sports. But, and I guess I thought people wouldn't care that much about it as much as they actually did. And the whole trans prison, which is fucking weird, the whole transgender reassignment shit. Like, people that, it doesn't really affect most people. Like, my life is the same, whether I don't support that, but whether a trans criminal gets a sex change or not. That doesn't help my wallet. That doesn't help my day-to-day life. That doesn't help, this doesn't affect the economy. It doesn't do anything. And just say words, that's all. Huh? Wouldn't that be clinical pedophilia? What? Nobody ever gave a shit about trans people in sports until Biggest made it. That's a fair point. A deal out of it. Yeah, I've never heard of newborn trans. That should be a sitcom. I'm a newborn trans. So that should be like Netflix. Newborn trans, doing the best he can. I'm just a newborn trans. They put me in the garbage can. When Trump won, it was no longer fun because I'm a newborn trans. After Trump won, they put me in the garbage can. I'm a newborn trans. It's like the I'm a prom night dumpster baby. And I'm taking a stroll. He's taking a stroll. Love Dodge. Love to hear like Cody. Yeah, Chad is still making things up. This newborn trans thing is you know what? If I'm on a date and the girl is super left wing, like if I'm going to try to get laid, I think I'll say, you know what I want? When I want to have kids, I don't want a boy, I don't want a girl. I need my kid to be born trans. And that might get me the ticket. She'd be like, oh, you're so sensitive. That's trans. What does that even, if you're